All right, guys, so now we're gonna demonstrate the style of berms and swales that I prefer the most. The goal here is really to create a nice raised bed for planting the trees. That'll be our berm. And we're gonna excavate the swale to produce that material. Now for me, the really important thing is I want a seed-free planting bed. So my goal is that we're going to remove the grass and the topsoil and invert that on the other side. And then as we dig down, we're gonna get into this subsoil that's really sterile. There's not a seed bank in that area, and we'll cap the berm with that. And the result is that we're gonna have this raised bed that's gonna be super easy to dig the shovel into and plant the seeds. It's nice and decompacted. The trees love it because they're able to penetrate their roots through that loose medium, and the results kind of speak for themselves. This is how we've done this whole site before now. So the first few feet are usually a little hard to get through the hard pan, but yeah, you'll see how it looks. So I'm digging, but I'm just taking this top layer of grass right now, and I bring it up. I bring it over to where the berm is, and I'm gonna try to flip it over. I didn't flip it that well at that approach, but that's fine. I'm gonna cover it up with a good foot of soil, and that really makes it hard. So here we go. There we go. See how that sod just flipped over and the roots are pointed up? That's what we're looking for. And you can see here, it's really compacted. It was just a short time of continuous grazing with really large animals. But basically I've been out here before when it's rained for 5 hours. And it's one of those perfect rains that farmers talk about, where it was just steady, continuous rainfall. And when I dug down, after 5 hours of overnight rain here, there wasn't really any moisture down in below like 4 inches. So now that we're breaking through that hard pan, water's gonna penetrate and soak in a lot better here. So I'm really focusing. You can see of my hands, I'm trying to get the right angle with the teeth on this bucket. And sometimes it'll be slow, but if I just tap my hand here and angle the teeth a little bit more towards me, a little bit more downward, we're able to dig a lot better. So, while there's essentially 4 directions and 2 movements of the bucket, when I get into these angles, I'm able to kind of go diagonally and dig super quick. So this is starting to look pretty good here. I've got a nice even bed. It still needs to be raked out a little bit, but the raking is going to be super easy and very efficient. So I'm feeling pretty good about this section. It's nice and even. It's going to be minimal hand labor to rake it out. So I'm ready to back up. And this is the trick here. You got to find the right distance to move backwards. For example, if I go too far, now I'm not going to be able to dig down to the bottom of my trench. So I got to find the right thing. And over a little bit of time, this becomes really natural, and it's super easy to find this sweet spot. So here again, I'm grabbing this sod. I'm only digging a few inches down and getting all that grass. And if I can flip the grass over and get the roots pointed upward, that's way less likely to resprout and cause problems for my trees. So I'm still probably in the seed layer here. Like there's still a lot of roots that would even resprout from some of these perennial weeds and pasture that we have here. But now on this next scoop, I'm getting down to a different soil horizon, and this is the good stuff. This is the clean soil that I want on top of my berm to plant my trees into. So I'm only digging down a few inches, but I'm still able to fill up the bucket. And a lot of times they'll drop the soil over here, which is gonna make a really wide berm. But I want some elevation. I don't want the grass to the grass that's over here to sprout through. So yeah, I'm just going down a little bit deeper. And for me, the optimum depth, I call it bucket width and bucket depth. Right now I'm about a half a bucket depth. And my berm's not quite at the level that I want it. So it'll probably take me about 3 or 2 more scoops to get down to that depth that I found to be really successful for establishing trees. I'm even gonna move up a little bit more just so I get a nice even dig. And then the important thing here is when I deposit this soil that I'm excavating, I want to try to fill up any void. So there's kind of a valley right there. I'm going to bring the soil out here and drop it right in that valley. My goal is that I have a nice even berm that's going to have minimal raking. People get really focused on the ditch, but like you'll see here, I'm going to have a high spot in my trench, and that'll affect the hydrology slightly, especially if there's a lot of water coming in on one side. But to me, the hydrology benefits are all secondary. My main goal here is to get a really nice, decompacted, weed-free raised bed so that my trees have a 90% survival rate, which is, from our research, is really typical for contour lines projects. So at this point, I've probably done like 20 feet of digging. I'd say this is actually pretty ideal for teaching somebody. At this point, I might start this next area, go ahead and take care of the topsoil, and then let the person I'm teaching to dig the berms and swales, the landowner, take it from here. So right now, nothing works, but as soon as you put this trigger down, it'll be locked and loaded and everything will function. So now I'd pick it up in the air and just practice a little bit, like moving it around. All right, that's pretty good. We'll start right here. So you can put your blade down now to be ready to dig. And the one thing I always tell people is after you do this for a little while, it gets really fluid, and to work really efficiently, see, I call this the breathing in, and then I just pivot over and I deposit, I shake. You heard all that noise? I'm really trying to break up any clumps of clay by being a little violent with it. But that makes it really easy to dig into here to plant. And once you get that rhythm down, you move really quickly. So for me, it's all about efficiency and keeping the costs down for the farmer. And yeah, this doesn't need to be an expensive process to get 100% survival rate from planting trees.